Hello, this is National Chess Master Rats at chess.com, here to continue my video series on the correspondence team match played between my video lessons group and CARPE DIEM. This was played on board 47. We have a rating advantage of low 1900s versus low 1800s, and our man is Dortam888. Pretty interesting game. Kind of surprising by White's choice in the opening. I've seen Bishop c4 many times. I've even used it in blitz chess, just try to get away from the mainline Sicilians. It's not so much this move, it's White's follow-up that had me puzzled. His next move makes absolutely no sense, but after all the smoke is cleared, White's going to play a reasonable game. Okay, folks, don't play these moves, knight g5. Okay, you're threatening a fork on f7. This is beginner chess. All right? That's what it is. It's beginner chess. You know, you try to get somebody in the four-move scholar's mate. Well, it's not exactly a mate here, but this is a move that can be easily defended, and Black will gain time in it to help improve his position. It's simple. It's a simple matter to block. Now, it might be that maybe Black wants to play g6 and fianchetto the bishop, and now he just simply plays e6, and well, the bishop will find a home on e7 where it's perfectly which is a perfectly acceptable alternative, and Black is going to gain some time here as a result. You know, this knight is misplaced, okay? Flat out misplaced. Eventually it's going to have to retreat on its own because it has no good square to go to. Black will make sure that White doesn't come up with some kind of a sacrifice on e6 or f7 that sometimes happens in the Sicilian, and you know that knight's just in the wrong spot. Probably what White should do is play knight c3, but instead he plays d4. And suddenly White is going to lose a pawn, you know, for nothing. Now, this knight is guarding this pawn on e4. Now Black gains a tempo, h6. Let's attack the knight. Usually I don't like these pawn weaknesses in the opening, but this is perfectly fine because Black's going to win a pawn. And just like that, Black has a strategically won game on move 6. It's just a matter of time that Black will develop his position and take the one weakness, the pawn ahead, and find a second weakness and win the game. You know, if he changes down an ending, he's going to find an endgame where the pawn will be able to be created into a pass pawn and push through or cause decisive material loss. But anyway, the game does get interesting, as we will see. And here's White making another kind of puzzling move. Why move pawns? This actually, what it succeeds in doing is shutting off the diagonal of this bishop. Okay, so Black just shoves by. And here's White moving pawns again. As I say, the game does get interesting here in a little bit. Not just yet. Now Black retreats the knight because it was under attack. And now, even though the center is locked up, White's found a new diagonal for his bishop. Maybe he'd like to get a battery here, maybe. We'll see what happens. But both sides still have to get their development going. Look, both sides, they're queenside. Here, let's just draw this again. Sometimes you can make these visual comparisons as you're playing a game. What happened to that arrow? The queen sides are exact matches. The kings are an exact match. The rooks are an exact match. These knights are an exact match. Now, nothing else, well, a little bit else match. Let's see, these pawns match. Okay, a very symmetrical position with a couple of exceptions, which we'll note. Okay, now everything else is a little different. But there's one difference, too, which you've already mentioned, is that Black is a pawn ahead, and you can't take that from him. So here White weakens his position with h3. I mean, why? Black had no pressure with bishop g4. Black probably wants to put the bishop on b7 and play against d5. So h3 is a wasted move. And here's White moving more pawns. And I'm saying this game's going to get interesting. You probably want to win. Well, you'll see. Okay, now c4. And now finally both sides castle. And Black is getting ahead in development here. Black just needs to develop his queen, get it off the back rank. And remember when these matched? White's lost 2 tempos moving pawns. Now, here's one of them right here. Terrible move. Okay. Now a little pressure on c4. And then here's that battery I was talking about. Now, this knight is stuck. He can't move. Not that necessarily that black would want to move that knight, but now black chooses to lock up the queen side. It might have been interesting to take in this square, and then the c4 pawn could become a target at some point. Maybe plans along this line, a5 and bishop a6. But pushing by is fine because black still has an eventual break with a4. And where's white's plan? Right now this is his plan, but he has to get rid of this knight in order to administer a mate. Or open up the G file, try to open up the G file and risk his own king's position. So here comes a threat. White has a threat, knight takes knight, followed by mate. But it's black's move. He gets to cover things. He grabs the knight, which blocks the diagonal. Now the mate threat's back on again, but kapow, it's gone. And even though white has a majority of forces against e4, he can't take because his queen's in front. If the queen was on b1, yeah, then he could play bishop takes, but he can't do it in this case. So now black really shuts off that diagonal that white had worked so hard to get on, but in the process he opens up a new one. Okay, but both sides can contest it, and the point of h6 to be able to put the knight on h2. Wonderful plan. Okay. Attacks the rook, covers it, and then this is a valuable square. It's a nice spot for a bishop. It's pinning this pawn, and black is going to maybe get his own battery going here. I believe that's exactly what happens because I already played through this game. There it is. And then white decides he wants to keep that dark squared bishop, and black just improves his position, brings the rook over to the king side where he has a pawn majority. You can still play this move from that position, but that's a little slow. Black has a clear advantage. He's just up a pawn. Now this e5 square is looking kind of juicy. So if not now, at some point. Now here, I thought my first inclination is to play this move. Why? Because it has a discovered attack on the queen, number one, but number two, it clears the square for the knight. So the queen has to take, and now you come in and get another tempo. Okay? Now, this queen now has to find a home. Where are you going to put it? You love it if white plays queen d1 and developing the queen again. Okay? You love that. And that leaves squares like g3, h5. But I'm liking black a lot here simply because he's got. Well, let's see. Maybe you're going to drop this pawn here. Maybe that's the problem. Now, can you take it? Yeah, I guess you can take it. Let's see. Okay, so I don't always see everything right up front, but that's okay. I don't give you perfection analysis. We analyze. That's how you find out if a move works or not. You check it out and do it just as I do. Just to verify. Now it looks like white solved some of his problems, although some of his problems. Let's see. Got to get this bishop into play somewhere. Yeah, b2 maybe, but I don't know. Looks like black's doing fine here. Can play a move like rook f2, and if bishop takes, suddenly this pawn is getting very dangerous. But, I mean, none of this is forced. I'm just kind of like showing you how to analyze, try things out. But of course, my first inclination is to do this move. It doesn't mean it's the best move. I want to take it to make sure I can get a knight into e5. But by not doing it, he's doing fine too. You know, this is a protected pass pawn. Black owns this diagonal. White can't develop this bishop along this line, so white's pieces are kind of stewing in his own juices. Black needs to find a new place to pry open. White offers to make a trade. Black declines. It's a great bishop. Why trade it? And now white's getting ready to play g4 and try to open up the g file. So I say the game's starting to get interesting. And there it comes, g4. And black takes here, and he stops and recaptures. And black just reinforces g7. preserves options of doubling rooks on a number of files. Comes G5. Okay, so now White has some pressure on G7, but it's pretty well defended. And now since this knight can't get to E5, where else can it go? It's always fun. Good thing to do is trace the path of the knight. Where does he go next? Well, here he can't go forward. He can come back this way and here. It's kind of stuck. He can go here, 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 and where? Back here, and that's clogged. So he finds a good alternative for it. He puts it on F8. Now it's getting ready to evict that rook, and then at some point it may relocate to F6. Black doubles, or white doubles. Now black just goes ahead and seizes the open A file, and bishop D1. Now this bishop isn't doing black much good, at least right now, so he redeploys it, brings it back to C8. This clears the rank in case black ever wants to double. It also keeps an eye on this pawn should this queen want to try to find a new plan of action. Maybe one plan would be to put the bishop here, and if trade, potentially take back with the queen, penetrate with the queen, although taking back with the pawn would probably be good. Anyway, white triples up his battery on G7, but black just kind of ignores it, and white can't really chop on this square. He just can't. This rook is defending it, and white doesn't have enough attrition, especially with owning this diagonal. The bishop even backs up the diagonal. White finds a way to make it interesting here, as we will see. Now, black removes the defender of G7, but at the same time attacks the queen. And here, now he uses the knight to evict the rook. And the rook could go to G6, I suppose, but then the queen just backs up, and G7 is well covered. So white decides it's now or never. He's going to take this, and then he pins the queen. But black has resources here, even though his king gets a little airy. His position is just too strong. And look at those rooks, the way they've infested white's queen side. And here he liquidates. The king just takes back to keep the bishop dominating. And like I say, white gets a few nuisance checks, but he doesn't have time to take this bishop because rook takes E2 is really deadly. Then the bishop on E3 is loose. The knight on F1 is loose. White isn't long for this world. And so it's well thought out to cover all these bases ahead of time. We're going to give black credit for making sure that white didn't suddenly surprise him with a win. So some people might be reluctant to go into this variation simply because of all the counterplay white seems to be having, but black has it all under control. That means he took his time and analyzed. And if he didn't, then next time he tries this, he's going to get slaughtered. So there you have it. I'm pretty sure he analyzed. Okay. And now this bishop is still off limits. White doesn't have time to take it. And the king is quite safe over on H8. Now he takes it, and here we see the danger. This bishop on G1 is going to fall. And although white gets a pass pawn and is menacing this pawn here, the black rooks are just too strong. So black enjoys the advantage right now of a rook, two rooks, and a knight versus a queen, and that should be decisive, especially with the white king so vulnerable. And now this bishop just returns to the scene of the crime, D4, back on the diagonals, and white's going to run out of checks if queen H5 check, king G7. And white's out of checks, and black has threats. The rook on G1 is protected. Now this rook is trying to get to A2, among other things. Let's waste a move for white. Let's see here. I'll show you. Rook here sure looks like checkmate to me. Did I miss anything? No, I didn't. Okay, so white comes up with a defense. He creates a square for his king to run to, but it doesn't matter. Black mates in a different fashion. And doesn't matter which square the king goes to, it's now checkmate. So there you have it. So white did make it entertaining, but black just had too strong of a position. Control that long diagonal was crucial, and the open A file that he opened up, that was crucial, gave black sufficient counterplay, and white never really had a chance. But white would have had a chance if going back to this position. If he didn't want to play d4, that's fine. Just play knight c3 and continue about your business. Castle, play d3, bring your bishop up, bring your queen up, and just like that, you're developed, and it's an even game. Anyway, let's go on to the next game. Let's see what move it starts us out on. Sometimes it goes to move 1, sometimes it picks somewhere in the middle. Oh, look at that. Picked move 3. Okay, so our man is white again, or this time. And I think black really kind of falls apart quickly in this one. He's basically going to, here we'll see as we get there. Now, usually I don't necessarily advocate putting a knight here. He could get in trouble, but black's not really poised to take advantage of it. d4 is a natural square to go to. But this is fine. This works out. And logically, I think both sides should castle, but white tries something interesting here. Working on a pin, and he's got 2 pins actually. Both knights are pinned, and I think white handled this very nicely. Now, if the queen takes, the queen should take. The only drawback black is going to run into is white will liquidate out down to a middle game where he has the bishop pair. But I think this is the safer choice. See, white doesn't have time to play bishop takes f6 because his own queen is hanging. And after this and this, this pawn is weak, but black's got some good squares for the knight. The knight can come to e5, the knight can come to c5. It might go to b6, and it tries to drop into c4. And if white tries to evict it, it causes a whole bunch of new pawn weaknesses. I think that would have been a better choice than the way black played it. And here's one of the reasons why, is that now white can force a doubling of the black pawns. He couldn't in the other line. But what's kind of neat about this game is white doesn't double the pawns. He finds some other clever moves. Okay? This knight isn't going anywhere. If you want to double the pawns, you can do it later. There's nothing making you do it now. And sometimes this is lost on players that are trying to improve. Just develop something else. You can do it next move. For all you know, maybe black will play h6 and spend a tempo. Then you get to do it. Okay? Give your opponent a chance to mess up. Well, he doesn't mess up. He plays queen d6 and breaks the pin. And now white can gain a tempo with bishop takes, and just for instance, if queen takes, we can swap queens on f6 and have an interesting game of chess where white tries to exploit the double pawns and the fact that the black light squared bishop isn't very mobile, stuck behind a bunch of pawns. But it's close to even. Requires some work, but white puts the pressure on. He tries to undermine e4, and he's relying on, and there's a tactics here with the pin on the pawn. You see the queen is menaced, so he spends another tempo moving the queen, and then he captures here. Now probably what black should do is take this pawn. Well, I guess maybe you're going to lose this pawn. Darn it! Yeah, so this is done well by white. And he does take it, but there goes the pawn. So you see, white's played this well, and basically bagged a pawn. And like I say, black's going to self-destruct here in a minute. We'll see it. So white's won a free pawn. He's handled everything just perfectly. He did not take on f6 to create a weakness. He struck back in the center and undermined the black pawn center. And here's Black's mistake. This is tantamount to suicide, but he's running into trouble anyway. You know, there's a nasty pin here. At least D5 is covered. Maybe even though this creates some weaknesses, try to get control of D8 back and plant a rook on D8. But rook E8 just runs into trouble. Here we'll see it. Rook takes, bishop takes, and suddenly White has won 2 pieces for the rook, and this is a decisive advantage. And he has a pawn in the bank, although Black gets it back. No matter how you slice it, White has 3 pieces, Black has 2, and those bishops, especially in an open board like this, are just going to destroy the Black rooks. So it's routine now how to win this, and we'll see how it goes. And you can't really afford to give White a pawn majority because that's just going to lead to a quick pass pawn, but that's what he does. And White plays a little defense, but Black can't do anything. White's just got a free rein here as to how to continue, and he's going to force those pawns to advance. And here he gets a set of rooks off, and these, like I say, these 2 bishops are going to eat that rook alive, and there's nothing Black can do about it. He can attack bishops, but eventually he can't attack the bishops. See, now he can't attack either bishop. See, the bishops are covering. The dark square bishop covers 1 square, the king covers this one, and the pawn covers that one. Now the pawns are going to advance, and when they advance, they're getting closer to coronation. Black sends his king over to help, but it's not enough. Again, the rook can't menace either bishop, so he tries menacing a pawn, but that just shoves it up. And there's really nothing Black can do. The king can only come so close. He can't get to c5. And meanwhile, this pawn is on the take. White doesn't even have to bother taking it yet. He'll take it when he wants. There, he took it now. And check. And here goes the pawn. He can go all the way up to the 7th rank, and Black can't do a thing about it. Once he gets to the 7th, Black must forever watch this pawn with either his king on this square or his rook on this file, and the rest is routine. Just to simply redeploy the bishop to get it onto the h1a8 diagonal, and game over. And White kind of jockeys around with his king a little bit. There's a few nuisance checks here and there, but doesn't matter. Now the pawn queens, and Black should resign. And now White finds an economical way to end the game. He creates a pin on the rook, forcing Black to move his... Well, if he moves his king, it's mate in 1. So it forces Black to move a pawn, and White just continues the pressure. He takes a4 away from the Black king, and after this, a nice little checkmate, relying on the pin, and game over. So, both games well played by Dortam888. Black didn't have quite the resistance here as he did in the other one. He managed to make that game interesting, but coming out of the opening, Trianova just left himself too many questions where he didn't really have a concrete way to continue, and he just basically got outplayed with the small advantages he gave his opponent. Well, actually, clear advantage in the first game. Anyway, thanks so much for your time. There'll be more. I got ways to go to catch up, and then a lot more results are coming, but they're going to come out. I think this is the 62nd video, so obviously I'm following through on my commitment to make a video for everyone that gets 1.5 or 2 points. And you have to finish both games before I make the video. It's just so much easier for me to do them 2 together and keep track. Now, I've also said that if we win the match, which is pretty much a foregone conclusion now, I think we're up like 192 to 67, so we only need about 19 points, 19.5 points to win the match. Then the players that got a 1-1 score, if you won one of your games, I'll make a video of the win. Now, if you drew both your games, I'm not going to do a video because then you get 2 games, and the winner would, the guy that won 1 game would get 1. So we're trying to get you to win your game, not play for a draw. And then, of course, if you get 0 or 1/2 point of your 2 games, unfortunately, I'm not going to make a video because we're trying to give you an incentive to not lose a game and to get a plus score, and just wipe this team out. And just see how, if my theory, you're also proving my theory that if you take your time in a correspondence game, you can win. And this should have been a closer match than it is. We're running close to a 3-1 margin. We've been a little above it, and sometimes we drop below it. It's hard to keep winning at that ratio, but and we may end up 2-1 when it's all said and done. Like we'll get 2/3 of the points, but still, that's the rating advantage isn't all that marked except on the lower boards. We are outperforming the statistics on this. There's a number of statistics that say, like for instance, if I'm 200 points rated higher than you, statistics say that I'll win 76% of the time. I think that's the number. Meaning if we were to play 100 games, I would score 76 points. You would score 24 points. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to score 76 wins. There will be a number of draws in there. But according to the rating formula, I'm going to score that many points. And at the net result of playing 100 games with you, our ratings are going to be unchanged. That's what the statistics say. But when one side, we know so many players are playing blitz chess in their correspondence, anyone that takes 20-30 minutes on a move is going to have a decisive advantage against someone that's playing quick. And that's just cold hard fact, okay? And just like a computer engine, think if you've heard of the old TRS-80s or Commodore 64s, some of these old computers of the 70s, they hardly had any memory power at all, or any RAM, all these things that the new modern computers with their multiprocessors have. I mean, even 15 years ago, it was hard. We'll look at the memory on Windows. How much disk space did you have? You just didn't have it. But today we have it. So by this margin victory that we're coming up with, it's proving my point that your rating will go up if you take your time. You will win games that you might not have won otherwise, and your rating will go up. And your reward is you get to play the stronger players. What happens when you play stronger players? Gee, you get even better. So, being part of my group and learning from me is win-win for your chess. Anyway, thanks so much for your time. I see if I can get some more of these cranked out before the day's over.